In this video, I'll quickly demonstrate type safety and type inference. First up, type inference. In some languages, it is necessary to specify the type when creating a variable, like this. Because the Swift compiler can usually infer the type of the variable or constant, we can declare our variables like so. And this would be inferred as a string. And if we have an age of 27, that would be inferred as an integer. Even decimal point values, arrays, and dictionaries can be inferred. So let's say we have pi as 3.14. This would be inferred as a double. And let's say we want our favorite fruits in an array. So we have apples, oranges, and maybe grapes, if I can spell grapes. And let's say we have a dictionary of our favorite fruits and how many we have of them. So we have 3 apples and then 2 oranges. So this would be inferred as a dictionary of type string. And there are cases when you need to specify the type, and this is called type annotation. So for example, when you create a class or a struct and the initial values are not known. So we'll create this university struct with the properties name, city, and attendance. And we won't know the values of these properties until an instance of university is created and we pass in the values to the initializer. Now, the same is true for classes as well. So if we have a class of animal and then let's say the type of string, and we have to create an initializer here. And so we won't know the type of the animal until we create an instance of that and pass in the type. Another case where you may need to use type annotation is when you create a constant or variable that could be inferred as more than one type. So if we create a character instance of, let's say, our first initial, then this would be inferred as a string, but we might not want that. So if we wanted to perform character-specific methods on this, then we would want to annotate the type as a character. Now, let's say we have a number of, our favorite number. It's probably not a good example, but let's say our favorite number is 30. And we wanted to do some calculations on this and get a precise number as a result. So in that case, we would want to specify the type as a float. Now, lastly, you would want to use type annotation when you declare a variable and do not yet know the value. So if we have our favorite color early on in our code, we know that's going to be a string. And then later on, we might do something to set this favorite color as red. Swift is a type-safe language, and this requires you to be clear about the types of values your code can work with. So if we have an int, you cannot pass it a double or a string, or you cannot set it to a double or a string. When you create a variable and constant, the compiler performs type checks to make sure that there aren't any differences. So let's say we have our first name as a string, but we try and set that to a number. We might get age and name confused somewhere in our code. But the compiler would let us know that you cannot assign the value of type int to type string. Let's say we have an integer and we try and call a string specific method on it. So if we have capacity and then we have 347, let's say we try and split that into an array of numbers using the split method. But we'll definitely get an error here because integers do not have the split method, only strings do.